One of the toughest enemies in the game, an armored knight who snipes him and sends him back to the castle, as we find out that the wolf has the ability of the baby breath or standard breath. The enemy abilities are randomized as well, and Tilo Tilo finding out the hard way about the Armored Knight, which is affectionately known in the Dragon Warrior community as the AK-47, because it certainly hits like one.
Yeah, it looks like all players are doing a little bit of early exploration. I guess they started with some gold. I don't know if they were trying to find a quick town to get some gear, but they've all died a few times and lost most of their gold now. So I would think they'd want to stick relatively close to the castle for at least a few levels, but they're all venturing out a little bit here.
They most certainly are, as the problem that they're running into is the nearby town that they were looking for is Hawk's Nest, which is an abandoned town that is riddled with enemies, but it also has a guardian that it'll provide some sort of an item in the search spot, but it's guarded by a very difficult enemy, which none of our players are anywhere close to getting at this point.
Yeah, I see Tilo Tilo now is staying in the desert right next to the castle, while JJ has found a desert zone a good ways off. I guess he may be looking for something better than slimes to go after. But they both have settled into a certain grind spot that they like for right now. And Centroid, I've not seen if he's maybe still exploring or if he's settling in on his grind as well. He's now on level 2 also.
Most certainly. Chat noting that I'm a bit quiet. I mean, I could certainly be wordier. I mean, if you really want me to. No, I know that. I think he means the volume there.
I believe Tilo Tilo went with the little t this time, which was also the strength HP build, and you may have mentioned already. I think all three are going with strength HP this time. He often goes strength agility, so he's kind of been experimenting, going back and forth. This time seems to be going with the HP build.
Well, actually, I hadn't mentioned it, and what that's referencing for those unfamiliar is now Tilo Tilo at level 3, but finding out that the Druid has the Hurt More spell as well, as it looks like at level 3 they had acquired the Sleep spell. When you enter your name into the slot to start off the game, depending on what letters you have or what the characters are of your name, it determines which two of the 4 statistics, the strength, agility, hit points, and magic points, get a penalty, whereas other two don't. And in this case, I mean, what's referred to as looks like what's referred there to JJ Schmidt as a death courtesy of the Scorpion using the Dragon Lord Breath, which does anywhere between 64 and 72 hit points of damage. But what is known in this case as the Strength HP build, those are the two stats that aren't penalized based on the entries of all 3 of our runners.
So JJ was just doing 1 damage on a Scorpion. I'm not clear why he and Centroid have both ventured off into this western desert where they're encountering skeletons and scorpions. Seems like they'd want to find some slimes right now, right? It's they're still fairly weak.
Well, I guess they figured they got a couple of levels along the way and were at least trying to, I guess, use those couple of level gains to venture out, but it looks like it's a little too much too soon in this case.
Yeah, and as such, it's still a fairly close race. No player has really gone off to a big experience lead. They're still in the double digits experience rise, trying to get those first few levels under their belts. As you mentioned, they've found the town of Hawksness. They also have seen Sharlock nearby, as well as 1 cave. So about 4 of the 16 locations have been found already, but nothing particularly useful as of yet.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to work on gaining some strength and levels to be able to go out and explore, but part of the problem is a lot of the lower to mid-level enemies providing some issues. The Scorpion with the Dragon Lord Breath, the Ghost with Hurt More. That's something you don't see in the normal game, as neither of those enemies normally have any spells, but this time around they have 2 of the tougher spells or abilities in the game. So it's a matter of having to deal with Drakies and Slimes, which are the weakest of the enemies. They don't seem to have shown any type of special ability or spell.
Yeah, again, JJ is walking around in an area where skeletons are showing up. I don't believe they have any chance of defeating a skeleton, so I don't know if he's hunting for something specific. Maybe the Magician here. Let's see how he does with the sleep spell on the Magician.
Oh gosh, Phil, the Magician has Dragon Lord Breath and Stop Spell.
Yeah, doing 1 damage at a time. They've got to go back to slimes and ghosts, I guess, until they get 1 more level. So here's a blue slime for Tilo Tilo. Only worth 1 experience point, but take what you can get at this point. He only needs a few more to get to the next level in the mid-30s, I believe. He and JJ with an experience point tie right now. Let's see who can get to the next level the quickest. Right around the corner could be Hurt More after all, or big power boost. Any number of things could break this open for them.
So at this point, Tilo Tilo is looking for 35 total experience to get to level 4. Same thing with JJ Schmidt. Meanwhile, just getting to level 3 is Centroid, and We've got 19 hit points and 17 magic point gains, as well as that sleep spell.
All right, JJ is 2 points away, and Tilo Tilo is 3 points away. Both of these monsters would do it. Red Slime goes down. Let's see what he gets here.
17 power, 1 speed, 3 hit points, and 17 magic points. No additional spells, but at least they can start to whack a few things a little bit more.
Yeah, just like that, all those skeletons that he was encountering, those become fightable now, and the experience could be gained quite quickly here. See if he can use these couple of minutes to extend his lead. Tilo Tilo is 1 slime away from evening the score at level 4.
Well, JJ smartly using the sleep spell because the skeleton's still hitting for 9. Remember, all 3 of our racers at this point have no weaponry, armory, or anything. They're just fighting with fists and a fig leaf at this point.
Tilo Tilo also now gets to level 4. About a 1 minute advantage right now for JJ. And about 12 and a half minutes into the race. So it's a fairly slow start to get these first few levels. See if JJ can take advantage of that 1 minute lead to extend it here and fight some more skeletons.
Well, this is an interesting spot that JJ has found as far as a grind spot to try to get some enemies. That line that he was straddling, 1 up, 1 down, that looks to perhaps be the edge of a zone. Now, there are different zones throughout the game that are generally 15 by 15 space blocks, and when you go outside of a particular zone, you can encounter a new group of enemies, which is why you can go in a mere couple of steps from a red slime, one of the easier enemies of the game, to a skeleton, which is usually seen in the level 7, 8, maybe 9 range in the vanilla version of the game. And oh, we see the skeleton has healed.
So Tilo Tilo now going after a wolf with the sleep spell, doing about 5 damage every time, but unfortunately the wolf's pretty strong. He's able to do about 20 damage. So it might be a little ambitious, but if you can get him, it's worth 40 experience. Unfortunately, no, the wolf wakes up, takes him down. But the Druins and the skeletons seem about at the right level of strength. That seems to be the efficient enemy. Druin's worth, I believe, 14. Skeleton's worth about 25 experience. So the more of those they can find, the faster they get to level 5.
Certainly hope so, as the JJ able to take out a Druid, and that gets him right to 82 experience, which will get him to level 5. And we've got 1 power, 3 speed, 4 hit points, 2 magic points, but we've got a spell, and it's Hurt More. Bingo! Now they can start using spells to take on some of these tougher enemies.
Yeah, and that's why getting those first few levels in quickly is often important, because now he can extend this lead. Centroid, for example, unable to even to fight the ghosts still. Ghosts having Hurt More, taking him down earlier, and just all these enemies are too strong for him, whereas JJ can rack up the experience very quickly now with the Hurt More spell. So the faster you can get to this Hurt More level, the better off you are extending your lead in the process here.
Or at least progressing along, but the Armored Knight, that might be a bit ambitious even with Hurt More, but JJ is going to go for it. He's playing the odds that there's going to be a casting of Hurt once again, but he gets hit for 33, and the second Hurt More is going to take out the Armored Knight, give him 172, more than double his experience. And just like that, he's up to 287, already up to level 6 and partway up to level 7. And he gets the Repel spell at level 6.
Yeah, and you'll see that he may want to start using that Repel spell pretty quickly. Maybe the next time that he starts over at the castle, he'll start casting that. Because now that you have Hurt More, you really don't need to be finding any of these ghosts that he's running into now. You want to be finding higher value enemies to cast that Hurt More.
Meanwhile, Tilo Tilo making his way back into the cave, and it looks like it is the Mountain Cave. So there are 5 treasure chests that are in that cave, and Tilo Tilo perhaps looking to see if there's something like Erdrick's Sword perhaps under there, the best sword in the game, which will certainly help with attacking.
Tilo Tilo has reached level 5 and hurt more as well, by the way. So JJ still has about a 1 minute or maybe a 1.5 minute lead on Tilo Tilo with this progression. Seems to be extending it slowly with some of the choices that he's made with the hurt more. Let's see if Tilo Tilo can make up some ground. Or if he can find something useful while exploring this cave. Here comes a chest now. It's the Cursed Belt. Nothing too useful yet. Let me know if I've missed something in the tracking process. So far, I have only the Dragon Scale for the players.
Oof, well, we've got blue dragons with sleep and a strengthy attack. And that's going to send Tilo Tilo out of the cave.
Centroid, by the way, just now got to level 4, so he got that big power boost, and he should start looking for those skeletons and druins, as JJ did about 3 or 4 minutes ago. So he's a few minutes behind, but it's only a few minutes in the grand scheme. If he can get through this next section quickly, he can try and start catching up. But as you see, JJ is hurt mooring Star Wyvern and other enemies that yield triple-digit experience each time.
Oh, and Tilo Tilo making a play on the Guardian and Hawk's Nest, and it's the Armored Knight.
Yeah, great idea when you have the Hurtmore spell. The Axe Knight and the Armored Knight are both doable here. And if he can get him with the double Hurtmore, it looks like he's going to be able to. We could find the armor or the token quickly.
We'll see what's in the search spot here, but first, getting up to level 6. With 2 power, 2 speed, 12 hit points, 10 magic points, and there's that repel spell, but nothing in the search spot.
That's unfortunate. However, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the racers starts going back in there for an early grind. You could take down, Hawk's Nest is right next door. You could go in there and fight that enemy a few more times and gain 2 or 3 levels pretty quickly. Let's see. Nope, he's bypassing that and choosing to explore further. Oh, never mind. He's doubling back. Let's see.
As a Wraith Knight taking out JJ Schmidt, who is a little more than double the experience of Tilo Tilo, but now Tilo Tilo able to catch up a little bit more here and is already up to level 7. 21 speed, 0 hit points, 1 magic point.
So as I mentioned, he is going back in for more Armored Knights. Now he's just checking out the desert in the town. But ghosts are not what you want to find. I think he's going to end up going back over to the spike tile, taking on the Armored Knight. That's a quick way to earn some early experience with the guaranteed high level encounter.
Now, with nothing in that search spot, that means, well, that can mean a couple of things. Usually those search spots, the one in Hawk's Nest, the one in Cole, and the one potentially in the Overworld, those would house the Fairy Flute, the Erdrick's Armor, the best armor in the game, and Erdrick's Token, one of the fetch quest items needed to advance in the game. Now, with one of those spots being empty, the fact that in this randomizer, the Fairy Flute as well as Erdrick's Token can be in treasure chests. So the fact that the search spot in Hawk's Nest does not have anything in it means that at least one of those items, the Fairy Flute or the token, is in a treasure chest.
Notice that JJ is not actually exploring right now. He has found a desert region just a few screens away where he's camped out and just going after Star Wyverns and Wraith Knights with the Hurtmore spell, and he's now up to level 9 just from doing this grind. I wonder if he'll end up going back to Hawk's Nest soon, and then that's another potential grind spot. But right now, he is just hunting these Star Wyvern and Wraith Knights, and I think that's a smart move until you get a little bit more in the hit point department and maybe some healing. Right now, they have no healing spells, so they can't go too far from home without that.
But that being said, as you mentioned, those triple-digit enemies already up to over 1,200 experience. The key number, target number for level 10 is going to be 1,500 experience. And Goldmen are not going to do it. And some baby breath. That is going to take out JJ Schmidt.
Tilo Tilo with the sleep attempt on the Armored Knight. They're typically not very sleepy monsters, but he knew that he couldn't even really withstand even a hurt spell. He was down to single-digit HP, just taking a shot there. Yeah, without any healing spells, they're going to be making some trips back to Antigua until they get one.
That was definitely a YOLO sleep attempt, as the Armored Knight has a 15/16 resistance to the sleep spells, meaning that he had roughly a 6% chance of hitting that.
And we see east of Charlock is just a swamp with a dead end, so I think most of the rest of the map just goes up to the north there through that mountain pass. And we may be in a situation where they're going to need to go through the swamp cave to find the rest of the map.
Yeah, it does look very linear in this case.
Yeah, Tilo Tilo finding another dead end. So it's not a very large map on this side, seemingly, unless there's still another direction that they haven't explored.
Okay, and our restreamer Game Boy F9 noted in chat that we may have some electrical issues for the wrestling fans out there. This may be like the in your house beware of dogs scenario, where the pay-per-view was cut short due to a lightning storm that cut the power during the broadcast. So hopefully, if things disappear, you'll know why, but we'll try to stick with you here as much as we can through the inclement weather.
Never know what's going to happen on some of these broadcasts. I also have some experience in classic arcade gaming, talking about Donkey Kong, Centipede, things like that. And in some of those tournaments, you're talking about 25-year-old machines that have they plug into a wall, and if somebody walks by and kicks the power cord, well, guess what? Your high score attempt is over. So it's these things happen. Hopefully, we'll get through this without a lightning strike. We'll see. So JJ doing what we mentioned and going back to the spike tile in Hawk's Nest. Now he doesn't know yet that there's nothing here, so he still needs to defeat this monster for the first time. But once he discovers that it's an Armored Knight, I wonder if he'll come back here for more level grinding until he gets a heal spell.
Time will certainly tell, but not quite enough to take out the Armored Knight, and we've got Armored Knights everywhere here.
Actually, I missed what JJ got at level 10. I don't know if he got a heal spell already, but yeah, he's already on level 10, having exceeded 1500 experience, and now he remembers the repel spell, and he'll be, well, he used repel to go about 6 steps into the town of Hawk's Nest. Okay. And he's going back for more. Well, he was not able to defeat him on the first try, but I think he's a favorite to be able to take down an Armored Knight now with 2 Hurtmores.
It looks like the return spell was acquired.
Alright, so still looking for a healing spell. The next level's at 2100 and change, maybe? 2125, something like
2175.
So that's only like 3 more Armored Knights, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he just stays here until level 11 now.
Oh, and wow, we just noticed that the Armored Knights have Heal More as well as the Hurt spell. So that will make the challenge a little bit greater in terms of taking those spike enemies out.
Yeah, so typically what happens there, when the enemy has Heal More, he will heal up to his actual maximum possible. Enemies typically spawn in a range of possible hit point totals, anywhere from 75% of their max up to their actual max. So when he has Heal More, what will happen is he'll go up to his max HP, and then he would have to use 2 more Hurtmores in a row to take him down. The second time around on the Hurtmore, he won't end up going into his Heal More range, is what I've been told by racers that are better than me at this game. So yeah, in this case, 3 Hurtmores in a row pretty much would guarantee to take him down, but that's a little bit of a drain on the resources if that happens too often.
Most certainly. So now it looks like Tilo Tilo exploring a cave.
We found an area with some knights. A knight is an excellent enemy for Hurtmore because they always go down in one hit, and they're worth about 78 experience each. And let's see what this cave is in the dark. It looks like Swamp North to me.
And he's opting out of it to go to the cave just to the northeast, and we see that it is the Staff of Rain cave. So one of the fetch quest items here in this game, the Silver Harp, that will be found in one of the treasure chests, that will be traded into that man in the cave there for the Staff of Rain. Our runners need the combination of the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token to be able to acquire the Rainbow Drop to access the home of the Dragon Lord, Charlock Castle.
Yeah, and let me know if I've been falling asleep on my tracking duties. I still have basically nothing for any of the racers 27 minutes into the race, so they gotta start finding some of these quest items soon here.
All right, I'm just double-checking the replay to make sure I missed that. Holy smokes. So at level 11, it looks like the only game was 7 hit points. No power, no speed, no magic points, and 7 hit points.
Yes, they refer to that as an empty eye level up, meaning a whole lot of zeros for your gains. Not what you want to see when you're trying to finish these races as quickly as possible.
Plus, there's another reference which eludes me at the moment. I can picture it, I just can't think of the name that goes along with it.
So I guess there was a lot more map to the north. Tilo Tilo seems to be exploring quite a ways away from the castle now. I don't think any of them have gone through the swamp cave to explore the second continent yet, so the map did open up in one direction, and they're busy trying to find as many locations as they can. Not too many towns have been found yet, so they may be clumped up in some sort of a village further away.
Almost gathering as a metropolis of Alefgard.
So look at this, it's fairly unusual, but JJ is already up to level 11, and he's choosing to just sit in this same spot in the desert, and he's grinding on these Star Wyverns and the Wraith Knights because they just don't have a healing spell. So he just doesn't expect to be able to do any efficient exploration until he gets one. Now, sometimes you can beat the game at level, 13, 14, 15. So doing this much grinding early sometimes can bite you if you're ready to beat the Dragon Lord and you haven't found anything yet. But he feels that this is the best way to make progress, and I don't blame him. It's hard to get through this game without healing.
Well, of note, the spells are randomized. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. The acquisition of the spells are randomized. However, all of our players are guaranteed to get all 10 spells in the game by level 16. So the fact that at level 11, only 5 of the 10 are still available, or are available to them, that means that you could expect to get some pretty decent gains going through here throughout the next couple of levels, at least in JJ Schmidt's case. As still missing are the Heal and Hurt spells, as well as the Radiant, Stop spell, and Heal More spells.
Looks like Centroid just found this pair of caves from a different direction. First finding the Shrine Cave, and now he's about to find Swamp North. Let's see if he goes through the Swamp Cave. And I just realized that we have a button on the tracker for Hurtmore, so I've updated that. Yes, they do have the Hurtmore spell and the Dragon Scale, and that's about it.
Yeah, not much in terms of exploration. We did see 2, well, technically 3, but I know I missed it, what the first treasure chest was in the mountain cave. But we did see that there was a set of wings as well as a cursed belt.
Centroid is attempting to go through, by the way. I believe he is, anyways. And this could back into the town of Garenham, for example, on the other side. Right now, it seems he's just walking back and forth. Maybe he doesn't know his way through. But I thought he was going to try and go through the swamp cave. I don't think anyone has done so yet.
Nobody has gone through the swamp cave as of yet, and perhaps it was just Centroid trying to find another place to grind on enemies to, well, what he doesn't realize is catch up in this case, as he's a little bit behind on experience and levels, but in terms of exploration, they're all evened up. Oh, and JJ Schmidt finding the red dragon, which is, apart from the Dragon Lord, the strongest enemy in the game and is affectionately known as the Fun Police, because usually when they show up, all fun tends to cease.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you're running around naked, you have no armor and no shield. That's not an enemy you want to see. He just got hit for somewhere in the 40s for damage, and that probably wasn't even the max damage that Red Dragon could do to you. It's the strongest enemy in the game outside the final boss, and they're going to need some gear, and in order to do that, they got to find a town, and we have the town of Garenham finally for Tilo Tilo. Can he afford anything? He's 1 gold away from a large shield. Wow.
And there's a chainmail there for 300, and looks like Tilo Tilo is debating, oh, do I go to
I think he can still sell the cursed belt. He still has a cursed belt that he can sell, right? But he maybe forgot. So he's buying some herbs instead. He could sell the cursed belt, I think, for about 180 and buy that large shield. But loading up on herbs, they don't have any healing after all, so herbs could be useful.
And JJ Schmidt about to go to level 12 and gets another huge power boost in 19, 22 hit points as well. Still no spells, though.
No healing, and now on level 12, he's got to start thinking about exploring the map. I think he's starting to get nervous. You don't really want to go all the way to 13 just this close to the castle. Wow, I can see that he is probably not sure what to do about this, and now he's going to enter what looks like, is this the mountain cave right close to home?
That is. Meanwhile, Tilo Tilo ending up going with the chainmail and the small shield. So that'll up the defense a little bit for Tilo Tilo. So meanwhile, keep a close eye here on what's going on in the cave that is being wandered by JJ Schmidt as Centroid falls to a golem inside of Hawk's Nest, and the Scorpion with Dragon Lord Brett says, nope, out of the cave you go.
So after all that exploring and finding a town finally, was there no weapon for sale in Garenham?
There was one weapon, but it was the best that money can buy in the Flame Sword for 9,800 gold.
Okay, I guess that's good to note that for later in case they ever find keys and they can attempt to gold grind. This seed is fairly slow progression here. Nobody has keys, not much gear, no healing spells. It's just they're trying to grind their way up with these enemies. Fortunately, they did get hurt more, or this could be really slow.
Most certainly, and before we even talk about the Discord and where you can get the randomizer, it looks like Tilo Tilo has found coal and gets the Fairy Flute.
All right.
Is utilizable for the golems, some of the tougher enemies in the game, and the Fairy Flute is guaranteed to put it to sleep, and now it looks like more of the same here, although the magic armor and silver shield are available in coal.
All right, so now we know for sure that the armor is going to be on the overworld, and the token is going to be in a chest.
Yes, that is correct, and we see the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, and that is going to have a magic key.
Oh, that's actually huge for Tilo Tilo. That's going to be really good for him to take advantage of that key.
So that will give him access. So if he decides to head back to Tanagel Castle, he can utilize that key to open a door in the rear part of the castle to access more keys for purchase, and then be able to raid the treasury inside Tanagel Castle, be able to go back to Garenham, get the 3 treasure chests that are there, as well as seeing what is in the back end of Garenham. So that does open up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, it would be preferable if he could get back there with a little bit more gold so he could buy a handful of keys, especially if he dies in the process here. But it looks like that's not going to be a problem. By the time he runs out of resources, he'll have plenty of gold to buy those keys. And I did not see what was actually in the mountain cave. Anything useful in the mountain cave for JJ?
I will admit that I missed it as well, as I think we were so caught up with Cole. But one of the things had to have been a magic key, as JJ Schmidt definitely has one. And we're being told in chat that there was a silver harp as well.
All right, so silver harp and access to keys for JJ. I assume he'll check the basement, or maybe not. Okay, he's going to check the treasury first.
And another cave for Tilo Tilo. And let's see, we've got some money. So there is a possibility of a gold grind. We've got the torch. We've got Erdrick's sword, the best sword in the game, the best weapon in the game, and Erdrick's token.
All right, so Tilo Tilo needs to get back to the castle as soon as possible to do this as well. He has found the tablet cave. There could still be the Stones of Sunlight here, I guess. In theory, this could be a required journey, but more than likely this is going to be not useful.
And we've got some big bucks in the tablet cave. Meanwhile, in the basement, we have the Rainbow Drop Cave, affectionately known as the Jerk Cave, because if you don't have Erdrick's token, he will literally kick you out of the cave. So Centroid, meanwhile, is working on some enemies, trying to get some more levels here. Is up to level 9 currently. And even though quite a bit of experience behind, in the grand scheme of things, not too terribly far behind.
Yeah, this could end up coming down to who actually finds everything first, too, because they're quickly getting the levels that they need. And now all of a sudden we have Cantlin as well for Tilo Tilo. And the coordinates that he will gain here will tell him where the Erdrick's armor is located.
Well, he is able to use that one key to access a key shop here in Cantlin, and is able to buy some more keys, and is also able to check out the wares that are here. It's essentially the shopping mall of Alethgard, as there are 3 different weapon and armor shops.
Oh, and Rimmildar for Centroid, so he will also have access to keys now as well. So all 3 runners within about 5 minutes of each other, unlocking their way to more treasure chests.
And it looks like Tilo Tilo going to upgrade to the large shield. JJ, meanwhile, is hurting but still exploring and finds a cave and is going to head on into it.
Yeah, this was that pair of caves that they all found before, and he looks like he's now going to go through the swamp cave.
Meanwhile, in Rimmildar, just a small shield for Centroid to purchase. And we've got a swamp on the other side of the swamp cave.
And just some wings in the Rimmildar chest, so that's not where the Stones of Sunlight are either. And we're going to get the coordinates here.
Seven south and 16 west.
Man, so he's got to get back to Tantegel. The sword and the armor await. And JJ actually can go in the back door of Garenham now. I don't think the previous runners were able to do so when they found Garenham. So we'll see. There are 3 chests in the back half of this town. Also, we could find the Stones of Sunlight there.
Alright, some herbs being purchased on JJ's side, so interesting tidbits of information across the board.
Alright, Tilo Tilo about to get the sword and the token. And I assume that he will be on his way to grab the armor as well after this. And a chainmail purchased by JJ, I guess.
That looks to be the case. And now heading back into Garenham's locked area where we've got an herb. We've got some big bucks. And we've got an empty chest, which is another herb. Once you have all 6 of either an herb or a magic key, then the treasure chest will come up as empty.
All right, Centroid also now with the Erdrick's armor and the Erdrick's token making his way back to the castle as well. So some progress being made. They should be able to damage some enemies physically now. But exploration advantage for Tilo Tilo, having about 5 steps away from the armor now as well.
And in the back of Garenham, we have Garen's grave. And it looks like we've got the Stones of Sunlight as well as the Death Necklace for JJ Schmidt. Meanwhile, Tilo Tilo picking up Erdrick's armor. So now Tilo Tilo back into the mountain cave, and JJ Schmidt has found Breckenary. Good old Six Town.
Well, hopefully I have everybody straight with equipment and whatnot, but I know just in my mind, Tilo Tilo is the only one that has the armor, and is JJ still the only one with the harp? So JJ has all 3 of the quest items.
Yep, he'll just need to go back to the cave, trade in the harp for the Staff of Rain, and first he's got to get out of this swamp.
And I don't remember seeing a silver shield in any town yet. We did see that a gold grind is possible if they want to set one up, but they may not do it if the silver shield is not available.
Well, I saw the silver shield in Cole as well as in Cantlin, so it's definitely possible.
Okay, and JJ will see that as soon as he visits the shop in Cole here, and he's going to grab the fairy flute.
I don't know how it is that I keep missing that upper level chest in the mountain cave. Meanwhile, we've got an empty chest there. Which I believe that might have been the magic key. So then that last one here is the silver harp. And JJ Schmidt's going to get his magic key from the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight cave.
Yeah, so JJ has all the quest items, and he also has the Erdrick sword, so he doesn't even necessarily need more treasure chests. What he needs to do is find all the search spots. Now, he's already found Cole, and he's already found Hawksnest, so he knows that the armor is on the overworlds. The only thing he really needs to find now is the town of Cantlin to get those coordinates.
As he continues his advantage, and Tilo Tilo getting that empty eye level of 11 with the no strength, no agility, 7 hit points, and no magic points.
So again, this I believe is going to be the tablet cave for JJ, and he should not go in here, in my opinion. There's just nothing of value. He's got everything he needs out of treasure chests. What he needs to find are search spots, and he realizes that and backs out. Still no healing spell for JJ up at level 12. He's near level 13 now. He uses the herbs now to heal himself up in the process of just trying to find the town of Cantlin, and I think he has it here. So this is a big find for JJ, using the herbs wisely to keep himself alive. and he's going to get the coordinates, and it's an easy walk for the armor.
And Centroid, meanwhile, finding out at level 10 that there's a return spell, and we find that big bucks are in that upper part of the mountain cave. So, money, wings, the cursed belt, the silver harp, and the magic key, all in the mountain cave.
All right, so Tilo has the harp then. I assume he completed the mountain cave, and we'll see if Centroid picks it up as well.
JJ Schmidt going in and getting a lot of broken glass tiles, as they're jokingly known, but those barrier tiles taking away 15 hit points with each step. And there are a lot in Sharlock Castle which are negated by Erdrick's armor.
And Tilo previously had found Garenham, but now he has access to the back half of it. Grabs the chests which were there, and now he's going to have access to the grave, which is in the basement of Garenham. And if he can make it to those chests, I believe that's where the Stones of Sunlight and the Death Necklace await. If he can do that, he will have all the quest items. Ooh. What just happened there? He exited. Maybe a misstep there. I'm not sure.
That is entirely possible. I think he was going to opt to stay at the inn before making the trek down. And I guess he figured leaving the town and utilizing another key would have been a little bit quicker than going back through that maze to get back to the inn.
Okay. Also wondering if there's a little bit of a... Nope, never mind. He already has enough equipment. I was wondering if he wanted to grab that gold chest again for some sort of purchase, but nope, just like you said, just wants to refill his MP, and realizing it's the grave, he's going to be going in now, looking for the last quest item.
Or perhaps he might be setting up a potential gold grind to go back to Tanager Castle, as he already has 3 chests open. Now, what we mention, or what we mean when we mention a gold grind, it has to do with a limitation of the game where it can only mark a maximum of 8 chests as opened at a time, and that is reset whenever a player enters the overworld. So, as being done currently on Centroid's side, if you open, as gathering the Death Necklace and Stones of Sunlight now is Tilo, if you open, in this case, the 3 chests in Garenham, and then go and open now... Okay, there were 3 chests in the grave, so if he were to die, which Tilo is not, so that pretty much makes that a moot point, but if he were to die there in the grave while having those 6 chests open, going back to the king would allow for another 3, as the 3 chests in the throne room are automatically marked as open, so that way you don't go and continue to reopen them over and over and over again.
Yeah, I liked that idea, especially if they had seen where the Silver Shield was. That was a good opportunity to set up a grind, but both JJ and Tilo are now trading in for the staff, and JJ has returned to the castle as well. I believe he just got the rainbow drop.
He most certainly did, so now he's looking for Erdrick's armor, and he's making that count now to be able to do so. And he has picked up Erdrick's armor.
Yeah, so JJ is basically ready to beat the game. He needs the heal more spell to do so. But other than that, he's got everything he needs now to finish the game. It would be nice if he would acquire some sort of a shield. Not sure if he bought any of the smaller shields along the way yet, but...
Looks like he does have a large shield, as I kind of quickly caught him checking out the status, and Game Boy noted it as well. So there is a large shield for JJ.
Okay, so we update him for the large shield, and sometimes that's all you need. So at this point, he's going to be in grind mode. We'll We'll see if he uses the spike tile at Hawk's Nest or perhaps the one in the Swamp Cave. And he's going to, in particular, he absolutely needs the Heal More spell at some point to finish the game. In addition to that, he may just need some more statistics as well upon leveling up. So we'll watch that as he progresses. And Tilo, I think, is going to be in that same mode as well.
Well, the game providing a little bit of trollage, as there were 2 spells that were acquired at level 13. Neither of them were healing spells, as they were the Hurt and Radiant spells. So somewhere between levels 14, 15, and 16 remain the Heal More spell, as well as the Stop spell.
All right, so Tilo also has the drop, and he also has the Erdrick's equipment. So he is in the same boat as JJ. He's just a bit behind as far as experience points, but they both just need levels now. And they will be good to go for an attack and an assault on Charlotte Castle.
And it looks as though the money was spent on Centroid's side. He was able to pick up a silver shield as well as the half-plate armor.
Silver shield and half plate for Centroid? Okay.
Meanwhile, JJ Schmidt just looking to, well, utilizing a different type of healing as the Erdrick's armor. One of the many benefits of it, not only is it the best armor in the game in providing 28 defense points, but on top of it, it negates the damage of the Hurt and Hurt More spells by, I believe, 1/3, as well as the Fire Breath and Dragon Lord Breath by 1/3. It also guarantees that you can't cast Stop spell. That Stop spell cannot work on you, or it will negate the Stop spell if it's cast on you, so it'll never take effect on you. Also, for every step that you take while wearing Erdrick's armor, you regain 1 hit point, essentially healed towards your maximum.
So Tilo going back through the Swamp Cave. Not sure what he has in mind for a grind spot here. I think he's maybe using... Is he using the Swamp Spike Tile?
Well, Centroid running out of resources and taking a death, and now he is back in the treasury.
So Centroid, I guess, is the only one of the runners that chose to set up that gold grind that you mentioned. So he has the silver shield, whereas the others have the large shield. Occasionally that becomes very useful, and other times it's not really necessary. We'll see how that plays out later on. And I have a suspicion I might be behind with the items that Centroid maybe has acquired along the way as well. I'm not sure if he went into those dungeons and found the harp or the stones yet.
Well, it looks like along with the grinding on the Armored Knight that JJ occasionally running into a golem, utilizing the Fairy Flute, as the golem is one of 3 enemies in the game that gives the maximum experience of 255. The others being the Metal Slime, which is definitely difficult to kill with its high agility, and the Red Dragon.
So he's 1 Armored Knight away. If he beats this one, we'll have level 14 for JJ, and we'll get to see if he learns the Heal More spell.
Yeah, the target number for level 14 is 5,625. And being just 122 away, and the Armored Knight giving 172, this will do it. But that requires the Hurt More to hit, and it does.
Alright, so Centroid trading in the harp for the staff, so he clearly had the harp. We'll keep an eye on his progression.
Power 2, response speed 3, 9 hit points, 3 magic points, and we have the heal spell. Every little bit helps.
Useful for the grind, not so useful for the Dragon Lord 2 fight, so he'll need level 15 no matter what. They have to have the Heal More spell to beat the Dragon Lord.
Game Boy F9 noting in chat, unless you're Mr. Holmes and want to grind to level 27 or something like that. I believe Mr. Holmes just recently completing a no spell challenge or something along those lines.
Yeah, if you want to test your limits as far as how much can you withstand boredom, it's go ahead and fire up the vanilla Dragon Warrior game and never cast a spell. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe he did that in one sitting. Kudos for Mr. Holmes for getting that accomplished. That's a lot of grinding. So interesting that it was possible and that he managed to do it.
Yeah, as the totals for Dragon Warrior Randomizer are edited a little bit for sanity purposes, and that the original experience and gold totals for pretty much all the enemies across the board are considerably lower than the randomizer counterpart. The vanilla is considerably lower, so that means a lot more grinding in the vanilla version, but to spare the viewing audience the boredom of having to endure that, that's part of why McGrew, the creator of the randomizer, adjusted the totals to where they were a little bit more balanced in the re-releases over the course of the decade later for Super Famicom as well as others.
So JJ has amassed about a 3,000 experience point lead over Tilo Tilo. They're both in grind mode for the end game. JJ, I just noticed, was doing 39 damage with physical attacks against the Armored Knight, so he probably has enough power now to go after the Dragon Lord. They just don't have the Heal More spell. So as soon as they get that spell, I'd like to see them check their status real quick, and they might be good to go already.
Well, Game Boy F9 noting in chat about 20 minutes ago that at that point there was already 122 attack power, and it has certainly gone up since then. So there's definitely the strength to take out the Dragon Lord, at least I'm pretty sure once we check the totals again, but it's just a matter of all the other statistics, most notably having that Heal More spell.
Centroid now in the grave as well, so as soon as he gets to these chests, he will have all the quest items, having already traded in the harp for the staff previously. There's the Stones of Sunlight right there, and I believe the Death Necklace is in one of these chests as well. So he will join JJ and Tilo Tilo. I believe, unless I missed it, he does not yet have the Erdrick's armor, but he will be able to get himself the Rainbow Drop if he so chooses.
So yeah, level 14 at least providing heal, so it's a matter of level 15 and 16, somewhere among those two levels will have the Heal More and Stop Spell spells.
And we just crossed the 1 hour mark into the seed. About 25 minutes ago, they basically all had nothing, so I was worried that this could end up being a long seed, but things started coming together quickly for the runners. They all acquired keys at around that point and were able to find everything they need in short order. So 1 hour into the seed, they're getting prepared to make a run on the Dragon Lord. JJ is 600 points or so away from level 15. It's about 3 more Armored Knight kills from now, and we'll get to see if he learns the Heal More spell.
Yeah, the target number for JJ Schmidt is 7,500 as far as experience. And usually that's how these seeds tend to work out, is when you get things really early and you think, oh wow, this is going to be a jet seed, it's going to be under an hour, going to take it out, and next thing you know it takes 2 hours. Then on the other hand, you have a really slow, just a dragging slog of an early part of a seed, and you're thinking, man, this thing's going to take like 2 or 3 hours, and then everything starts to come together quickly and it ends up only being an hour and a half. So it's just, you never know how the game is going to go with it, and just when you think you have the answers, it tends to change the questions on you.
And interestingly, Tilo Tilo still on level 13 on his grind. Remember, he does not yet even have the heal spell. So for him, the grind is taking longer because he's dying more often, not able to use all his resources. Sometimes he's backing out, trying to do a quick heal walk in order to gain some hit points. So the grind itself is going quite a bit slower for Tilo Tilo until he gains that heal spell. Whereas JJ now is 2 kills away from level 15.
Centroid, meanwhile, at level 11 and working up toward 12. And here comes level 15. Another 2 power, 19 hit points, 15 magic points, and no spell.
Yep, so no need to even check the stats. No matter what, you're going to need level 16 in this seed because Heal More is required. As soon as that spell is learned at level 16, I believe that they're going to then be overpowered for the Dragon Lord, just based on what they're doing for physical damage to the regular monsters here. So it's a race to 9,800 points, and then it's go time.
Centroid, meanwhile, still has to find Erdrick's sword.
Yeah, I think he has the sword from the treasury, but he has not found Caitlin for the coordinates to get the armor.
I said, as soon as I said it, I'm like, what the deuce are you saying there, Burgundy? It's been a long night already.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was quite a while before anyone found Caitlin, so I forget how that town might be tucked away somewhere. I guess he has still not found that town. So he's got some exploration left to do.
But Centroid does have the rainbow drop, so that's a good sign.
Oh, he went back into the Tantegel basement and grabbed the drop. Okay, I'll update him for that. So that's good. That's all he's going to need now is the armor. I'm going to go ahead and give him credit for the flute as well. I assume that he must have grabbed it.
Yeah, I believe so as well, but the computer hiccuped on me a little bit as he was opening the menu item.
And he's the only one that managed to grab that silver shield. So if they weren't so overpowered, that could easily come into play at Charlotte Castle on the dive if you have some tough enemies. Being able to defense break some of those enemies in Charlotte can go a long way towards preserving your resources on the dive down to the final boss. In this case, I have a feeling it may not be very necessary. I think they're going to be overpowered by the time they hit level 16.
And what is meant by damage break, as Centroid is in Caitlin and should be able to get those coordinates. Once your defense points are the same number or higher than the enemy's strength, then it provides a different calculation, which can pretty much be anywhere from a miss or 0 hit points to a certain number, depending on what that enemy is. Now, for some of these higher level enemies, that can be anywhere in the 15 to 18 range. That is the most damage that they can do once you have damage broken them based on this formula. So, knowing that you theoretically can get hit by an armored knight, for example, for only up to 18 as opposed to maybe 19 to 25 or somewhere along those lines, it makes it a little bit easier to traverse down.
Yeah, and that's a maximum. Sometimes you'll take 1 or 2 or 3 damage from these enemies, which you would never see damage that low earlier than that. So it definitely helps, particularly in Charlotte Castle. It can help considerably to have the silver shield to put you over the top of those thresholds.
Now the difference in terms of defense, the silver shield giving 20 defense points versus the large shield that JJ Schmidt and Tilo Tilo have, which only gives 10. So that 10 defense points definitely can make a huge difference.
All right, JJ now probably about 4 Armored Knight kills away from level 16. He's using the heal spell to prepare himself for another attack. Slowly but surely healing himself up.
Tilo taking out a gold man on the way over to the Armored Knight. I guess if he's not worried about, or if he's worried about taking a death, then I guess those gold men will help as far as doing a natural grind to get up to the 14,800.
And Centroid has, I think, acquired the armor, and he's on his way into the Charlotte Castle, so clearly just doing some grinding here, but he's the first one to enter the Charlotte Castle.
And runs into a blue dragon that has sleep. And gets slept again. And wrecked.
Yeah, Charlock enemies having sleep is an issue. Sometimes you want to have some extra MP available, maybe to cast Stop Spell. Particularly the red dragon having sleep is the worst because it's hard to run from a red dragon. Blue dragons, oftentimes you can run on your first try. But if you don't, and you get put to sleep, your dive could be over because there's no guarantee that you're going to wake up. So that is an extra challenge. It's good to get that information early. I don't think they ran into too many blue dragons out in the world, so it's nice to have that information.
And here we go, level 16. We know for certain that Heal More and Stop Spell are there. Another 8 power, 5 speed, 13. And it looked like I saw, 135 and 77 for the attack and defense. So, that means that once he gets to Dragon Lord 2, looking at a damage range of 8 to 17.
Yeah, you'll typically want about 11 heal mores. Let's see, his max, he's got over 100 for a max MP. So he's got room to spare. He should be going straight for the Dragon Lord now. Now, having less than 80 defense power, again, he does not have the Silver Shield, so he will not be defense breaking any of the enemies in Charlock. If he had gotten the Silver Shield, he would have 87 defense power instead of 77, and he would be taking less damage from about half of the enemies in there. That's not so bad when you're a little bit overpowered. He's got 2 or 3 heal mores that he can burn on the way down, so if he got into trouble, he should not hesitate to heal himself up, particularly if he gets put to sleep by a blue dragon or something like that. Otherwise, he's going to be trying to run from everything and trying to get to the boss as quickly as possible.
Yeah, given that he is 2,197 experience away from level 17, you won't see him fighting his enemies on his way down to try to get to level 17.
Yeah, and by the way, he also has a huge amount of hit points now on level 16, 149 max. He has the Death Necklace. If he so chooses, he can give himself 10 additional attack power to fight the Dragon Lord. Typically, though, once you get up into this 150 range for hit points, you may actually want to not do that because you can, you never waste any magic points heal mooring yourself during battle if you have that many hit points. You can sometimes opt to not use the Death Necklace in this case, but I expect that he will use it just because it makes the battle go a little faster. But he has the flexibility now that he has so many hit points. So no problems. He can burn several heal mores on the way down if he gets into trouble.
And the advantage to the Death Necklace is that while it gives you 10 additional strength or 10 additional attack power, it comes at the expense of 25% of your maximum hit points. So in this case, that would bump it down to maybe about 111.
Yeah, he has room to spare. He would get bumped down. I think that sounds about right, around 111 for max HP, which is more than enough to fight the Dragon Lord, and he would be that much stronger in the process. I think it's optional at this point. I think he will use it just because it will take a couple of less turns to beat the Dragon Lord. So in a race setting, that shaves a few seconds. But yeah, it's definitely optional at this point. He could go either way.
So 7 basements to get to the Dragon Lord, and JJ Schmidt already on the 5th basement.
Here's that blue dragon, and was not able to run in the first try, and he is asleep.
And Tilo is up to level 15, and
whoa, and choosing not to heal himself up just goes with the run attempt again. Now, blue dragons are fairly easy to run away from at this stage, but it's not a guarantee. He could have failed that run attempt and gone back to sleep with only 60 hit points. That was an interesting decision, but he's back up to full strength and managed to get through that blue dragon. The blue dragon, I think, is the one enemy that could thwart JJ's plans here.
We are on the final level of Charlock, the final basement of Charlock for JJ Schmidt. And not a lot of enemy encounters. We've got an Axe Knight, which all we've seen so far is that they have Stop Spell, which is laughable considering that the Erdrick's armor negates it. Not able to see what the werewolves bring to the table, but here's the blue dragon again, and he runs away from it. So now we have the forced enemy encounter, and it's a golem. This is where that fairy flute comes in handy.
Yep, this should be an easy battle. Probably not even going to have to heal himself, especially if he uses the flute every time he wakes up. And he has still 112 MP, so just tons of resources. This is going to be a free fight when he gets to the Dragon Lord, assuming he doesn't have a problem getting over there.
It will certainly be a very advantageous fight for JJ Schmidt, and he is able to take out the golem. Crosses into 5 figures in the experience mark, but still needing 1,942. And he is going to put on the death necklace, so that is going to add another 10 attack. So 145. Wow, that's going to give him an attack range of 11 to 22 on Dragon Lord 2. But first we got to get through Dragon Lord 1. And wow, hitting him for 49, 47. Now here comes a Hurtmore spell.
Yeah, he happened to have maximum hit points, so not able to two-shot the Dragon Lord 1. And he would like to stay above about 100 hit points entering the Dragon Lord fight, but not able to do so, unfortunately. So he's going to lose 1 turn in the process, but still, huge amount of resources. This fight is free.
And hitting for 19. Now there's a hit point range on this Dragon Lord's second form of 150 to 165. And you see there's a 16 as well. We're up to 35. So it's pretty much attack, heal more along the way here. As now another 18 gets up to 53.
And by the way, I'm not so sure that Centroid has the right idea. He's been grinding on the first floor of Charlock for quite a while, as opposed to just using the spike tile in Hawksnest, which is right next to Tantilu Castle. I think that would be more efficient than what he's doing here, but he's chosen to go this route instead. And Tilo is just a few enemies away from level 16 himself, and then he'll be on his way into Charlock. But JJ is almost done with his fight here already.
Up to 106 after just 6 attacks. Still has 8 Healmores left. And there's another low roll of a 13 that brings it to 119. Still 7 Healmores left. And whoa, there's a big 22. That gets it up to 141. So this next attack could be the last. And and 21 will do it. That puts up to 162. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs for JJ Schmidt. He is going to finish in first place here on our Wednesday Warrior Weekly as he makes his way up the path and speaks to the king and gets his accolades. He is going to finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 54 seconds.
All right. Congrats to JJ Schmidt, 77, for a first place finish in the Wednesday Warrior Weekly race, while we watch Tilo Tilo and Centroid battle it out for second. Now, the only thing I can think of with Centroid's approach here, grinding in Charlock, is he still does not even have the heal spell. So I suppose he was thinking that, 2 Hurtmores every time you fight an Armored Knight just maybe would not... He would run out of resources too quickly, maybe. Maybe the fact that he's able to heal walk around in Charlock in between fights. I'm not totally sure why he's going this route, and maybe if he gets the heal spell, he'll go back over to Hawksness. Not sure.
He's about to go up to level 14 here.
Hello, who do we have here?
We have JJ Schmidt in the Discord chat here. Congratulations and GG.
Thank you.
Well, a bit of a slow start for everybody here, but you're able to pick up on things pretty swiftly along the way here.
Yeah, Hurtmore will do that.
Yeah, what were your thoughts in the sort of the semi-early part of the game where you were acquiring levels and you just were not gaining any heal spells? It looked like your approach, you found a desert region nearby with some Hurtmoreable enemies, and you were just intent on getting a heal spell before you ventured out. Tell me about that thought process.
Yeah, well, that was the idea. Get a heal spell before trying to tromp all over the map. Just hoping. No towns nearby. That Hawksness being right there with the gold start was a troll, and just seemed like troll after troll with this seed.
Yeah, that you were the only one to be that serious about grinding at that stage of the game, and I think it paid off for you, because exploring the map without healing can sometimes be counterproductive. I think that helped you gain a little bit of an experience edge in the middle stages there. The only other thing is that the Blue Dragons showed up with sleep in the Charlotte Castle, and it looked like there was one opportunity where you could have been trolled yet again and sent home, but you finally woke up.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? I hadn't seen any red dragons or anything really scary, and then all of a sudden we're 80 hit points deep.
One of the concerns in that early point of the game, before you even were worrying about Hurtmore or the heal spells or anything like that, some of the early level enemies that it seemed like everywhere you turned, there was one that had something that would just take you out right away. Whether it was a ghost with Hurtmore, whether it was a magician with Dragonlord Breath, whether it was a scorpion with Dragonlord Breath. So, I mean, what's going through your mind as some of these early level enemies are just obliterating you left and right?
Yeah, I think everything had something except for red slimes and blue slimes. Seemed like I didn't find Drakeys right away. That would have been, a little better, 50% better than red slimes, I guess. But no, it was it was low strength start, and I think the first 3 levels we only got maybe 4 or 5 strength points. So yeah, that was not a fun start. As soon as I saw Hurtmore, I was elated.
Just as a side note, as Tilo is halfway through Charlock now, Tilo, he made an interesting move where he went into Charlock still on level 15, because you were a bit overpowered already in terms of your power versus MP, and you know for sure that you are going to learn Heal More at level 16. So I thought that was interesting. Not sure if you had any thoughts of doing anything like that, JJ. You were a little low on defense power, so that makes fighting your way down less appetizing, I assume. But it was something. He shaved a little bit of time there. He has now gotten level 16, and he's on the bottom floor.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just, hadn't looked at what was in there. So to me, if you burned an herb, there was no getting it back. I mean, the towns were so far from start. I was really nervous just putting the death necklace on, because if something crazy happened, it was going to be a heck of a battle to get back to the Dragon Lord with the towns as far away as they were. But
yeah, I was a little curious if you would have even maybe opted not to put it on, because it seemed pretty optional at that point. You had almost 150 hit points, so you could go either way. Of course, it just makes it a little bit of a faster battle if you put it on, so I figured you would.
Yeah, it was just going for speed, so that was the only difference to me. I was curious if anybody else picked. I didn't ever look at the Swamp Cave grind spot to see if there was anything a little better. At the time, I thought there would be nothing better than Armored Knights, but with them knowing heal more and us also not getting stop spell until level 16, that was pretty annoying too.
Well, Tilo did his grind also in the Armored Knight at Hawksnest, and Centroid seems to be grinding mainly in the first floor of Charlock instead. I don't know if either of them actually looked at the spike tile in the Swamp Cave. If they did, I missed it.
No, I believe the spike tile went unexplored throughout the game.
Yeah, and Centroid has the Silver Shield, which is something that I think you opted not to grind for the Silver Shield this time, even though defense power was a bit low. What were your thoughts on that? Was it just that the towns were so far away that it seemed like it just wasn't worth that trip?
Yeah, basically, when I cleared the mountain cave, I hadn't found any towns yet, so there was no way for me to know if, I got the key out of there, but there was no way for me to know if there was gold anyway, or a town that had a shield anywhere nearby that I would be able to get it. And then by the time I found the grave, it was like, I just need to go. It's been a slog so far, so if I have to play it safe on using a heal more or something, I'll just do it. I'll just live with the low defense.
We see that Tilo just donning or putting on the death necklace and is going after Dragon Lord 1.
Yeah, that was... The Armored Knight was a troll. Just that heal more was brutal. There's no good way to go about him consistently. And then hitting 49 and 47 on Dragon Lord 1 and that not being enough was like one last twist to the knife.
Yeah, Dragon Lord 1 for you happened to have full HP, it seemed like. I think oftentimes you're able to two-shot him, and that was crazy. I think you were... Well, yeah, I guess it didn't matter. It wasn't like you were close in terms of needing all your MP. But yeah, there were certainly some trolls going on in the seed, especially the early game. It looked like you guys were all sort of hunting around, searching for different zones where you could find a sweet spot with, I don't know if you were just looking for slimes or, nobody could really kill anything early on. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was red slimes for me. That 2 little desert tile spot worked well there. Skeletons, once we got sleep and a little bit of strength to where we could do a little damage, made that easy, and then we had hurt more, so it was free from there out. I thought my game froze for a minute there when we hit that one level and all it said was 7 HP. Nothing else.
Oh, yes, at level 11.
Yeah, that was strange. I don't think I've ever seen it just put one stat up there before.
I'm sure Empty Eye was beyond ecstatic.
Yeah, that's really unusual, especially I think if you gain 0 hit points, I think it tells you that you gain 0 hit points. So for it to actually only say one thing, it happened to be hit points that you gained, and everything else was just nope. You just didn't get it. No, that was as empty as it gets. Fortunately, that didn't seem to bother the grind. You only needed level 16, and it looked like you would have been able to go even earlier if you could have just learned the Heal More spell. But
Yeah,
level 16 Heal More, that's one of those things.
it should be illegal.
All right, and it looks as though Tilo has just finished up, so get out your GGs for Tilo. He's going to finish in second here tonight with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 51 seconds.
GG. I'll clear the way for Tilo here, but thanks for putting on the restream, guys. Thanks, Game Boy, and you guys for commentating. And thanks to Tilo and Centroid for coming out and getting restreamed on a game they started a couple months ago. They're picking up quickly, so hope it encourages some other people to pick up the game and give it a shot. It's a lot of fun and not tough to learn.
Yeah, well said, and great race for you, JJ. Congrats on the win, and see you next week, I assume.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and GG to both these guys.
Absolutely. As coming up in about a couple of months from now is going to be the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament, and it'll be the third annual tournament and should be very interesting to see who among the new folks will step up, who among the top contenders will perhaps be in the fray or perhaps be upset. It's hard to say. And as Game Boy F9 putting the link to the tournament in chat, dq.challenge.com/DWR2018. You can certainly check that out and give your hand at it and see if you can take on the likes of a Game Boy F9 or a Mr. Holmes or a Ness Cardinality or some of the other top players of the game.
I believe I heard Tilo hop into Discord. What's going on? How's the race for you? Maybe.
Can you hear me?
We can.
There you are. So I can hear you. Can you hear us? How's the race for you?
It got off to a rough start. There was Dragon Lord 2 breath everywhere. After that, it was so hard to find a town, and so it was a pretty slow start. And then, of course, having to wait till level 16 to get Heal More made it really difficult to do an early dive.
Yeah, that's well said. I think all those were the challenges. We had a slow start getting particularly the first 3 or 4 levels until you got hurt more. Looked like you couldn't even reliably damage, a magician. I think ghosts had Dragon Lord breath, so it was like either you would just work your way up with slimes or, I don't know what other options you had. So that was a slow start. And yeah, you all ventured off in different directions, no towns to be found. So that was a challenge for sure. And then no healing throughout the seed. How do you deal with trying to make progress throughout a seed with no way to heal yourself?
Poorly?
Yeah, certainly challenging, I'm sure. What was your idea with that? Did you entertain any thoughts of early grinding, or was it just go as far as you can and just restart in different directions? What's your approach when you just can't heal yourself?
So for me, it was I couldn't do anything nearby because all the monsters that in normal play you grind on, since you don't have a lot to heal with, would kill you in one shot with Dragon Lord breath. You had the ghost, you had the magicians, you had the scorpions, the Drakeemas, which was brutal. So I just I grinded on the slimes mostly until I could hit level 4 or 5, and whichever one it was, where we got hurt more. In which case I said, well, the best defense is a good offense, and so I decided to go exploring and just hurt more everything I could find.
Yeah, it looked like you actually had a bit of an exploration edge. You found, I believe you found Cantlin first with access to Erdrick's armor. I think you were the first to find keys. So you did find some of those things a little bit more quickly. And JJ took the opposite approach of he found a little desert area where he was just hurt-mooring things and just wasn't worried about going out into the world. It can go both ways, you know. If you grind too much and you haven't found everything, then obviously that's a problem. Or if you keep trying to explore and you keep dying because you can't heal, then that's also a problem. So it was interesting to see that you both took different approaches with that. You were able to find some of the key items first, and then it just became what was going to happen for the end game. So yeah, well-run race. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that sometimes turns out to be my downfall. I get really impatient grinding if nothing good happens very soon, so I think, well, you never know if I'm going to walk in this cave and get Erdrick's sword. You probably saw me go through the mountain cave really, really early and get killed by an Axe Knight once and then a Blue Dragon another time. And I just tend to decide, well, let's see what else is out there, because if you can find that one thing that nobody else is looking for, that gives you a massive edge. But historically speaking, I tend to be ahead in exploration and way behind in grinding, and then that bites me in the end. So I should probably be a little more patient and grind a little more thoroughly before I go on my adventures. But, you know.
Well, that has been pretty consistent, and from what I recall in your trek into the mountain cave, you were about a step or two away from that chest that would eventually, we would find out, was a magic key, and that could have certainly turned the tide as well. Even if you had taken a death, that could have given you access to so much in Tanagel Castle.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, because by the time I got that magic key, it had gotten so much later in the game. But yeah, I could have done that, could have done the gold grind. Of course, I don't know what good a gold grind would have done me at that point, since I had no town to buy anything at. But yeah, I would have gotten an early Erdrick sword, which would have helped deal with a lot of monsters and allow my magic to go a little further.
So it's amazing, just one or two enemy encounter tiles away, what a difference the entire seed could have made.
Yeah, that happened a couple weeks ago, actually, in one of the weekly races. It was some brutal early grinding, so I did what I usually do and went and wandered off and ended up in the Garen's Grave, and which happened to be where Erdrick's sword was. And I was about halfway through and got ambushed by a monster, couldn't get through, and then later found out that in that first floor is where, it was Erdrick's sword. And so I could have gotten a massive lead, but unfortunately didn't quite make it. Again, should have grinded more in that seed as well.
Well, every seed tells its own story and has its own tale to tell. So it's one of those where what might work in this seed might completely backfire in another. It's completely hard to say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a delicate balancing act always in this game between experience gathering and exploration. And I think a lot of times circumstances will dictate a slight variation in strategy with that. So it just takes a lot of experience to know kind of when to do what, I guess. And yeah, we have Centroid approaching the Dragon Lord now on his run. So good luck to him on this fight. Looks like he's got plenty of resources to get it done.
All right, well, then I'll head out and let you guys focus on Centroid. And GG, everyone.
Sounds good. Good race, and I hope to see you next week.
Yep, great run, Tilo. And meanwhile, back to the action here. Centroid having a little bit of an issue with the golem as it doesn't quite want to stay asleep.
Yeah, that's always frustrating in a race because golem fights can just be slow because they have so many hit points. And then if you do choose to use the flute, it takes several seconds just listening to the music of the flute. And then you'd get one attack and he wakes up. And so sometimes that is one of the more frustrating battles. They do reward you with a lot of experience points and, but sometimes you just want to get through that battle quickly and he has other plans for you. So But now he's fighting the Dragon Lord.
And this time around, well, Centroid opting not to use the Death Necklace.
Yeah, so that's a perfectly safe approach when you have so many hit points and you have more than enough MP. He's figuring, why bother with the Death Necklace? We'll just go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way. And he's having to heal up on the first turn because the Dragon Lord 1 had so many hit points that he got damaged, but still should be in good shape.
And he was ambushed in the amazing. The other two runners didn't have the silver shield, had lower defense, and didn't get ambushed. And Centroid with the higher defense gets ambushed. This game.
Yeah, and JJ made a good point. Both of the Tilo and Centroid, I think, are relatively new to the game, and they have improved rapidly. So he's looking at finishing in under an hour and 40 minutes, a seed that was fairly challenging with no ability to heal throughout. And Tilo finished in under an hour and a half. Good job by these two guys in this weekly race. And he's 1 or 2 hits away, I believe.
I was going to say, unless my screen hiccuped here, I have them at I have Centroid at 98 at the moment.
Okay. So it's a few more hits required then. He's having more trouble with the Dragon Lord than the other folks because, as you said, he got ambushed. He's got he just had a 9 roll there. So, and he doesn't have as much damage output because he didn't use the Death Necklace. So I forgot about that. Still should be in good shape.
Well, a couple of low rolls of 9 back-to-back here, and that puts him up to 130. So you're right, it should be okay, but anything can happen. But now up to 141, another attack here that's going to put it up to 153. And the next attack here, he's just going to go for it on 49 hit points, and that is going to be enough, as that puts it up to 168 above the highest maximum. Not sure exactly how much it was, but I would imagine that it was somewhere between 154 and 162 in terms of the hit points for the Dragon Lord here. But that is going to complete it for Centroid here. Get out your GGs in chat, as he is going to take the bronze here in this race with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Yeah, great race by all 3 runners. Under an hour and 40 for seed with some challenges. Congrats to Centroid. Not sure if he wants to join us here or not, but that was a fun weekly race we just had.
Well, we can certainly ask, as pretty much even intervals between our racers. Actually just under a 10-minute gap between first and second, and then a roughly 12.5-minute gap between second and third. A little bit of a lighter race than what we've seen in the previous weeks, but it's also the end of May and summer's coming, and the nice weather tends to get people outdoors a little bit. But we do appreciate you for tuning in here to Randomania, and it looks like Centroid is going to be joining us here in chat. Centroid, GG. What a seed, huh?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was kind of a rough start, but I felt like once you got that Hurt More spell, it kind of like it got a lot easier after that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Hurt More makes a huge difference, especially when you get it early. And it looked like the main challenge after that was that you had no way of healing yourself for a long time. Tell me about how you dealt with that challenge.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like, heal didn't even come until 13 or 14. No heal more until 16 was kind of frustrating. And there weren't even any herbs, right? Like, because Rimaldar doesn't even have the item shop. So, I mean, I was just trying to like kill stuff with hurt more because I didn't want to get stuck in long battles because I'm like, I wanted to end the battle quickly and get out, so I'm not just trying to like. And plus, there was a bit of swamp diving too, so trying to save each HP for that was kind of key, I guess.
Yeah, you make a good point. I guess there are maybe some battles against some slightly weaker monsters where normally you'd be okay with, using your sword like 2 or 3 times and saving your MP. But in this situation, you might as well just use the MP because you can't heal yourself anyways, and you don't want to go extra turns when you have no way of recovering that damage. So using it more whenever possible, and then just if you run out of MP, then oh well. So good point.
Yeah, trying to get out of battle as quickly as possible. I'm hoping for that heal more, but I don't know. Was there a better grind spot? I thought that was a decent spot on that first floor of the Charlotte Castle.
Yeah, I was curious how you came to that decision as well. It's usually more common for people to go ahead and into Hawksness and use the spike tile there. In this case, it was an Armored Knight. It was a little bit not that great of a grind for the other racers because they did have heal more, and it takes 2 and sometimes 3 hurt mores to take them down. But that is what they ended up doing. They used the Hawksness spike tile, whereas you decided to use hurt more on the Sharlock enemies. So not sure how you decided on that.
That's just a common thing that I try it most of the time. Because, I mean, most of the time I get lucky and there's like, werewolves, maybe like wizards and a green dragon or something like, sometimes you get unlucky and there's that red dragon and, it's a bad time. Or like I don't see Armored Knights there usually, but I guess with the no heal more, I was like, I didn't want to try it with the Armor Knight. I mean, I didn't really see any other way, but I mean, I'm not really that experienced with this either, so I guess maybe playing a few more seeds and getting myself up to speed better.
No, I mean, that was fun to see the difference in thoughts there because, as you mentioned, you started your grind pretty early because I think you maybe were on level 10 or 11 and you already had everything. So at that point, you didn't even have the heal spell, let alone the heal more spell. And I was wondering if that's what played a role in your decision because fighting Armored Knights when you can't heal yourself between battles, I mean, how many times are you going to be able to fight them before you just die? So in your case, you were able to heal walk your way around Sharlock. Typically, when you have all the spells, people feel like, the spike tiles are just faster because you don't have to hunt around for an encounter. So you save a few seconds just looking for an enemy. But in this case, I don't know, maybe it was worthwhile to have some of that heal walk so that you could, heal yourself up that way because you didn't even have the heal spell, I think, until 14. So that was interesting that you made that choice.
Well, there are a couple of different options. I mean, there was the Armored Knight and the spike tile. We never found out what was in the spike tile in the swamp cave. So that perhaps if that was an Axe Knight, that could have been the ideal spot. But that's something that we won't know, and maybe we'll find out for another seed. But looks as though we are going to wrap things up here on Randomania for our evening of our Wednesday Warrior Weekly. Make sure to give our runners a follow, JJ Schmidt 77, Tilo, and Centroid 4. Also, make sure to give a follow to our restreamer who's putting things behind the scenes here, Game Boy F9, as well as doing double duty of tracking and commentating tonight, my broadcast partner, Up to NG. And I guess you can give me a follow as well, Ferran Burgundy. I'm not quite streamable yet, but you can certainly hear my voice here among the Randomania networks and occasional other projects as well. It looks as though, since there have been some issues with the hosting capabilities here, it looks like we're going to be going over to Jam Eveler, I believe, who is... Okay, you can give me a follow on Twitter. There we go. Game Boy F9, just putting that up there. Ferran Derry, yes. Throwing a little bit of the... Oh, wow, okay. Just putting it right up there on stream for me. Good job. Nothing can go wrong when it's live, right? Anyway, it looks like we're going to go to Jam Eviler. He is in the midst, I believe, of a Zelda 1 randomizer co-op battle royale race. So it looks like we've got that going on here. And for everybody behind the scenes, for our racers, our restreamer, and for my broadcast partner Up to NG, until next time, I'm Ferran Burgundy saying, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. Good night, everyone.